my name is Courtney DeKalb-Myers. I am the Cleveland County Horticulture Educator at the Cleveland County OSU Extension. My job involves helping homeowners with questions that they may have about trees or their lawn or their vegetable gardens. So today we are talking about landscape design. So it's late winter, early spring. You may be thinking about your landscape. There may be an area where you're wanting to redo it or maybe wanting to plant something new, spruce it up. And hopefully today we can help you with a little bit of those questions that you may have as you start to design parts of your landscape. The next element that we will talk about is line. Line is how we organize things within a landscape. It also directs our eye when looking at a particular landscape. So to go back to our designs, this symmetrical design that we were talking about, there's very strong lines from this circle drive to the front door. That's also compared with these lines along the sidewalk. There are some lines of maybe some perennial plants along this semicircle that sort of frames that front door. Those are all lines that kind of direct our eye and give us an impression of that landscape. Lines within landscapes actually evoke certain emotions and kind of give us a certain feel as we move through those landscapes. So straight lines are very formal. Those are very kind of stately. You kind of sort of think like very formal gardens, and those can be used to evoke that sort of feeling in those landscapes. To contrast that, curvy lines and organic lines feel more relaxed and more comforting. We kind of want to wind through those landscapes, take our time, smell the flowers, things like that. So this design that we were looking at earlier, the asymmetrical design, you've got sort of a curvy line to the shed, a more curvy line kind of here showing those, dividing that landscape from that lawn. You've also kind of got a pathway over here to go maybe sit on that bench and relax underneath a shade tree. Those are all examples of lines within a landscape. So if you start with a bubble diagram and kind of work your way to the next step, lines are how we move the bubble diagram into an actual design. You can see that we've got the pool, the deck, the lawn, the landscaping, and the veggies. Our landscaping here along the side has kind of a more curved line, a more organic feel that sort of kind of elevates our landscaping and the flowers and sort of the easiness of that area. Our deck is more straight. That's kind of a more hardscape area. The concrete around the pool is more straight. And so we've kind of got some good contrast here. But overall, it's still very balanced. It's not all straight lines with one curvy line. It's kind of a little bit of both. And so balance can be very important as well when using contrast. The next element that we'll talk about is form. Form is the shape that a plant or a hardscape or maybe a structure makes when looking at it while standing on the ground. So to contrast that with line, where we're kind of looking at an aerial view, form is the silhouette it makes while we're standing in front of it. So different plants and different structures have different forms. Form, like lines, also evoke certain emotions within the landscape. So when we use things that are maybe more rectangular or triangular, those are very formal, very stately, very strong shapes within a landscape. Things that have a little bit more irregular shape, like weeping or layered, those have very easy, very relaxed feelings within a landscape. When designing for a landscape, you kind of want to keep similar forms for the plants. Otherwise, the design may start to feel too busy. So if you're using all pyramidal shaped trees with a pyramid shaped form, you may want to keep that consistent throughout the landscape so it's not too busy or too visually overwhelming on the eye. If you're designing in more of a small space, maybe just kind of a corner, you might want to put some taller, more upright form within the back, kind of use more of a rounded or mounding type in the middle, and then maybe a spreading or something that's going to kind of stay low to the ground when designing within that smaller space. So kind of think about a stair-stepped approach when filling in that space. So some plants that I have here with me today, and kind of to talk a little bit about their forms. This here is a croton, and it's got a very upright form. as does this plant. So if you're designing your landscape and you're kind of thinking from the big picture, maybe thinking trees, you might want to keep those forms kind of more similar, more upright. So that's going to continue to grow up within the landscape and to kind of catch your eye. It's going to be tall, kind of sort of give you that visual impact when designing a landscape. This guy over here has more of a mounding type form. So he would be a good kind of filler plant within the landscape. Our pothos over here has a very spreading form. So it's going to, this guy's still pretty young, but as he grows, he is going to continue to spill over and give a kind of unique drapey form. So these aren't necessarily outdoor landscape plants, but I just wanted to show you kind of the different forms and kind of consider that within plants, especially if you're designing for small spaces. You really want something to kind of have tall and have that visual impact, something to fill and something to kind of fill in around the base of that plant, and then something to sort of spread and kind of continue in to fill out your landscape. Gosh, what is there not to be excited about when it comes to spring and you're a gardener? So I'm really excited to get started on my vegetable garden. I'm a big vegetable gardener. I love to grow spinach and kale and things like that this time of year. I also have a small little ornamental bed off my back patio that I kind of like to experiment with and sort of just add in weird things and see, like, does this work? Does this not work?